Pythagorean Theorem, Lesson 24 notes, examples 8 and 9. Example 8 states, using the converse of the Pythagorean Theorem, verify that the triangle is a right triangle or not. So we're using the converse of the Pythagorean Theorem, which means we're going to see, does a squared plus b squared equal c squared? Because if a squared plus b squared equals c squared, then it is a right triangle. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to label this figure. So we've got lengths of 12, 5, and 13. Well, the longest length is 13, so that has to be C. Now, it doesn't matter what we call A and B, but just going on with what I normally do, I usually call the shorter length A and the longer length B. So now we fill that into our equation. Now, before I fill it in though, we don't know if they're equal, and because we don't know if they're equal or not, you need to put a question mark above that equal sign. We're determining if they are equal. We don't know if they are or not. So, I have 5 squared plus 12 squared, and we're going to determine, does that equal 13 squared? So, are these equal? Well, to do this, you're going to put this side into your calculator, and then you're going to put that side in your calculator. Now, one thing I want you to notice, nowhere do we use the square root. We're not using the square root, so notice over here on the side, okay? For problems where you find the converse of the Pythagorean theorem, you do not use the square root. You just put the numbers in exactly how it looks. So in other words, pull up the calculator here. In other words, I'm going to do 5 squared plus 12 squared. Notice I did not put the square root in. 5 squared plus 12 squared is 169. So over here, I would write 169. Then I'm going to put in 13 squared, which is also 169. So 5 squared plus 12 squared was 169, and 13 squared was 169. Well, they are equal. Because they are equal, that means it is a right triangle. Because they are equal, it is a right triangle. So my final answer is, yes, the triangle is a right triangle. Because a squared plus b squared equals c squared, it is a right triangle. If they were not equal to one another, it would not be a right triangle. If you have any questions on example 8, let me know. Example number 9. Again, we're using the converse of the Pythagorean theorem to verify if the triangle is a right triangle or not. So we need to go back and we're going to label our figure again. So we've got lengths of 20, 10, and 15. The longest length is 20, so you would call that C. I'm going to call the shortest length A, and therefore the 15 would be B. All right, I don't know if these are equal, so I need to put a question mark above the equal sign. Plug in your numbers. So I've got 10 squared plus 15 squared, and we're going to see if that is equal to 20 squared. So we are going to determine, is 10 squared plus 15 squared equal to 20 squared? To do that, I'm going to put this side into the calculator, and then I'm going to put that side into the calculator. So let me pull up my calculator again. I'll try that again. Clear that out. I've got 10 squared plus 15 squared. Oops. 10 squared plus 15 squared is 325. So over here, I'm going to put 325. All right, 20 squared. Hopefully you don't need to put in your calculator, but in case you do, 20 squared is 400. So, does 325 equal 400? No. They are not equal, so you need to put the not equal sign through the equal. So you have to put that line through the equal sign so it's not equals. Because they are not equal, it's not a right triangle. Does it look like a right triangle? Sure, but you can't go by what it looks like. This angle right here could be 89 degrees. And, just looking at it, you can't tell the difference between 89 degrees and 90 degrees. So therefore, we know that they're not equal. Therefore, it's not a right triangle. So no, the triangle is not a right triangle. Go ahead, pause your video, get everything written down for number 9. Okay, so to sum this up again, if you do a squared plus b squared, and it is equal to c squared, it will be a right triangle. But if a squared plus b squared is not equal to c squared, then it is not a right triangle. If you have any questions on using the converse of the Pythagorean theorem, don't hesitate to ask.